Audiobook Academy Biography presents Hugh Hefner. Playboy, founded by Hugh Hefner, was an important part of the sexual revolution of the 1960s. Hefner turned his contentious yet revolutionary magazine into a global business. Playboy, Hugh Hefner's breakthrough publication in the adult entertainment sector, was a game-changer. First published with Marilyn Monroe in December 1953, Playboy grew to become a multi-million-dollar business that mirrored its founder's views on many issues. When Hefner launched Playboy, he moved to Los Angeles in the 1970s and became editor-in-chief of the magazine. A few years back, he appeared in the reality show The Girls Next Door. Early years. Hugh Marston Hefner was the elder of two sons born to strict Methodist parents Grace and Glenn Hefner on April 9, 1926, in Chicago, Illinois. Sayre Elementary School was Hefner's first educational stop, followed by Steinmetz High School, where, despite his lackluster grades and an estimated IQ of 152, he eventually graduated with honors. In high school, Hefner was elected president of the student council and started a school newspaper, which was an early indication of his journalistic skills. On top of that, in the comic book called School Days, this typically introverted child had the opportunity of creating his own imaginary universe. As a non-combatant in the U.S. Army during World War II, Hefner was dismissed in 1946. He spent a summer at the Chicago Art Institute before transferring to the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign to study psychology. Hefner married his first wife, Mildred Williams, the same year he graduated from college with a bachelor's degree. Later, he completed a semester of graduate school in sociology, focused on the Alfred Kinsey Sex Research Center. At Esquire magazine in Chicago in the early 1950s, Hefner was working as a copywriter and drawing inspiration from the likes of F. Scott Fitzgerald and Ernest Hemingway as well as pin-up artists like George Petty and Alberto Vargas. Despite the publication's transfer to New York City, Hefner decided to leave after he was denied a $5 rise. Launching Playboy. As he set out on his own, Hefner vowed to launch a publication of his own. His mother and brother Keith each contributed $2,000 to help him create Playboy magazine. Stag Party was Hefner's original concept for the magazine's title, but he was compelled to modify it because of a trademark violation with another Stag magazine. Playboy, named after the defunct automaker, was suggested by a co-worker. In Hefner's opinion, the name screamed luxury and sophistication. Out of his South Side apartment, Hefner put together the inaugural issue of Playboy. In December 1953, it went on sale, but it didn't have a date since Hefner wasn't sure if there would be a second issue. For the magazine's success, Hefner obtained a color photograph of Marilyn Monroe in the nude, which had been taken some time before, and placed it in the magazine's centerfold. The first issue went on to sell over 50,000 copies in a matter of days, making it an immediate hit. To move on from nearly 3 decades of war and economic hardship, the United States in the 1950s tried to remove itself from the world. Magazines like this provided a much-needed antidote to decades of sexual suppression. People who ignored Playboy because they assumed it was a sexual periodical were quickly won over by its serious articles and sophisticated layout. Creating a voice. With its debut in the second issue, the Playboy emblem became the brand's signature icon, portraying a stylized rabbit wearing a bow tie. For the magazine's articles and cartoons, Hefner used the bunny because of its humorous sexual connotation and because it was frisky and fun. In an effort to differentiate his magazine from other men's publications, Hefner decided to focus on showcasing He-Man fiction and outdoor activities. Instead, Hefner wanted to pander to the cosmopolitan, intellectual male and to show more explicit sexual imagery in his magazine. Playboy Philosophy was a term coined by Hugh Hefner in a series of 25 editorials published in the 1960s. It was a growing manifesto on politics and government that proclaimed Hefner's views on the nature of free market and the nature of man and woman, asking for what he considered as reasoned dialogue on the facts of human sexuality. Aside from that, Hefner never forgot that the magazine's most important selling point was its sex shots. Hefner's life and marriage were absorbed by the publication's production. 1 million copies a month were being sold of Playboy magazine by the late 1950s, when it overtook Esquire in terms of circulation. However, there were personal difficulties that needed to be dealt with first. Hefner and his first wife, with whom he had 2 children, David and Christy, split in 1959. Hefner had a large number of female acquaintances when he was single and was well known for his laid-back charm and love of romance. However, he was also known for his strictness and attempts to impose a double standard. The Golden Age. With his silk smoking jacket and pipe in hand, Hefner was dubbed Playboy in the 1960s. He pursued a wide range of interests and mingled with the rich and famous, always with young, attractive ladies by his side. During the 1960s, Hugh Hefner was pleased to depict himself as a charismatic figure and ambassador for a sexual revolution that was sweeping the nation at the time. Also, at this period, Playboy's popularity skyrocketed, allowing Hefner to create a huge network of private key clubs that welcomed people of all races at a time when segregation was still the law. A NAACP Image Award nomination for a documentary about Hefner's civil rights activism followed. High-end restaurants employed Playboy bunnies, who were noted for their skimpy attire made of rabbit ears and puffy tails. The bunnies were instructed to maintain a professional distance from the general public in order to maximize their income from tips. The women were also subjected to severe requirements in terms of their physical appearance, including their height and weight. It wasn't just hotels and modeling agencies that Hefner's Playboy enterprises established over the years. His two short-lived television series, Playboy's Penthouse, 1959-1960, and Playboy After Dark, 1969-1970, feature the likes of Ella Fitzgerald, Nina Simone, and Tony Bennett. In both cases, Hefner and his guests would appear on a weekly discussion show set in a bachelor home filled with Playboy playmates. In 1962, novelist Alex Haley initiated the Playboy interview with jazz legend Miles Davis, establishing the publication as a source of serious journalism. Hefner's fame was not without controversy, though. After a Playboy issue featured nude images of Hollywood star Jane Mansfield, he was arrested and put on trial in 1963 for selling obscene literature. The charge was subsequently withdrawn because the jury couldn't agree on a verdict. Hefner and Playboy Enterprises' reputations were unaffected by the exposure. The Playboy Foundation was established by Hefner in 1964 to aid in the fight against censorship and the study of human sexuality. Obstacles and cutbacks. Hefner had grown Playboy Enterprises into a significant business by 1971. After the company went public, circulation reached 7 million copies a month, and the magazine made a $12 million profit that year. Also, Hefner began spending his time between two big residences in Chicago and Los Angeles' Holmby Hills region. The Big Bunny, a converted DC-30 jet, had a living room, a disco, movie and video equipment, a wet bar, and sleeping chambers while he was away from home. Hefner's own circular bed was also included in the jet. Playboy Enterprises, on the other hand, went bankrupt in the mid-1970s. Penthouse, the more explicit men's magazine run by rival Bob Guccione, experienced rising rivalry from Playboy during the recession in the United States. Hefner's immediate response was to show more compromising images of women in less than wholesome situations. Advertisers reacted angrily, and circulation continued to decline. Hefner shifted the focus of the company's operations to magazine publication going forward. Unprofitable clubs and hotels were finally sold and Playboy Enterprises restructured the rest of its ancillary businesses. In addition to publishing sections like Girls of the Big Ten, the magazine continued to adhere to its new photography standards. A wide variety of female celebrities have graced the covers of Playboy over the years. Madonna, Kate Moss and Jenny McCarthy are just a few of the more notable names. It has also been attacked by those who disagree to the magazine's focus on commercialism and objectification of women. For a two-part show magazine piece in 1963, feminist leader Gloria Steinem went undercover as a bunny waitress and documented the hardships of female laborers. In 1985, a television movie based on Steinem's exposé starring Kirstie Alley was released. As a result of this decision, Hefner relocated to Los Angeles in 1975 so that he could better manage his television and film production interests. As a result, he was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame for his efforts to restore the iconic star of the city. Founded in 1978, the Playboy Jazz Festival features some of the world's top jazz musicians every year since then. Work in progress and other works. With stress from the book The Killing of the Unicorn, Dorothy Stratton 1960-1980, which chronicled the life and murder of a former playmate, Hefner suffered from a mild stroke in 1985. Hefner needed the stroke to jolt him back to reality. He quit smoking, started working out, and slowed down in his favorite activities. In 1989, Hugh married Kimberly Conrad, his longtime fiancée, and the Playboy Mansion took on a family feel for a while. Marston and Cooper were born as a result of the union. The Hefners split up in 1998 and divorced in 2009, according to court documents. The Playboy Mansion was next door to Kimberly and the boys after their divorce. Christy Hefner was named chairman and CEO of Playboy Enterprises by her father, Hugh Hefner, in 1988. While Hefner remained Playboy's editor-in-chief, she played an important part in the magazine's cable television, video production, and internet programming efforts. Christie resigned from her post in January of 2009 due to personal reasons. The Playboy brand remained a formidable force in the global licensing market, despite the magazine's decline in sales. On a chain worn by Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City, the iconic emblem was prominently displayed, as evidenced by its appearance in the show. For the latter few decades of his life, Hefner focused a lot of his energy on charitable work and civic engagement. When he founded the Sundance Film Festival's annual Freedom of Expression Award, he was responsible for launching it in 1993. Hefner also donated $100,000 to the University of Southern California's censorship in the cinema course, and then donated $2 million to the institution's film school in 2007. Even more significant was his work to restore classic films, which was one of his greatest hobbies. The Girls Next Door. It's no surprise that Hefner has garnered so many honors for his achievements to the publishing industry and to society. In 1998, he was admitted into the American Society of Magazine Editors Hall of Fame, the same year that Gloria Steinem was also honored. He was awarded the Henry Johnson Fisher Award and made an honorary member of the Harvard Lampoon in the new millennium. The Girls Next Door, a reality show about Hefner and his girlfriends at the Playboy Mansion, premiered in 2005. Hefner would subsequently get engaged to Crystal Harris, who appeared on the show's later seasons alongside twin sisters Christina and Carissa Shannon and Crystal Harris. In keeping with tradition, the show acted as a venue for promoting several of Hefner's endeavors. As Marquardt left the estate and started her own TV show in the 2009 season finale of Girls Next Door, Hefner's life continued to alter. Hank Baskett, a former NFL player, was soon following Wilkinson's departure. Madison had already left the mansion when she announced her departure. Hefner's off-camera machinations and the profound sadness she felt while living at the estate were revealed in her 2015 biography, Down the Rabbit Hole. Third Marriage and Revamping. A biopic of Hefner's life has supposedly been in the works for years, according to reports. At one point, the project was linked to Brett Ratner, with Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert Downey Jr. all being considered for the main part. In December 2010, Hefner and Harris got engaged. Harris called off the engagement in June of that year, making headlines. After announcing their engagement in 2012, Hefner and Harris returned to the public glare. On the eve of the new year of 2012, the pair exchanged vows at Playboy Mansion in Los Angeles. Mr. and Mrs. Hugh Hefner tweeted Happy New Year from Mr. Hefner with a picture of themselves and their 26-year-old daughter. During a certain period, Playboy was undergoing through change. It was reported in October 2015 that CEO Corey Jones and Hefner had agreed to stop using photographs of fully bare women, according to the New York Times. It was a deliberate move to acquire more sponsors and better placement on newsstands as well as a response to the proliferation of internet pornography that had made the magazine's spreads appear outdated. On the cover of the March 2016 issue, Sarah McDaniel, a bikini-clad model, represented Playboy as a non-nude magazine for the first time. A temporary shift, though. Hefner's son Cooper took over as Playboy's creative director in 2016, and soon after it was revealed that Playboy would once again feature naked models. Since nudity is not a problem, the company's creative director tweeted in February 2017. This is a day for us to recover our identities and regain our place in the world. Despite Cooper's protests, the Playboy Mansion was put up for sale, and he was unable to stop it. In the summer of 2016, it was claimed that the mansion had been sold to a neighbor for $100 million, with the promise that Hefner and his wife would remain there until his death. Hefner passed away on September 27, 2017 in his Holmby Hills, California mansion, the Playboy Mansion. He was 91 years old. At the Playboy Mansion in New York City where he spent his final days, Hugh M. Hefner, an American icon who in 1953 introduced the world to Playboy magazine and built the company into one of the most recognizable American global brands in history, peacefully passed away today from natural causes, Playboy Enterprises said, according to CNN. He was 91 years of age. At the Westwood Memorial Park in Los Angeles, Hefner purchased the tomb drawer next to that of Marilyn Monroe, and on September 30, he was laid to rest. If any of Hefner's recipients became physically or psychologically addicted on drugs or alcohol, then the trustees of the bequest had the ability to withhold their payments. This was discovered in late December, when Hefner's will was made public. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.